That's what I'm saying. That's what I said. That's why I told him you don't put midgets in carnivals. Just saying. Okay. And we're on 1200 Films Podcast. Chuckloaf here. All horror all the time. Why is it called the 1200 Films Podcast? Because the 1137 Films Podcast just didn't have a good ring to it. So that's why I omitted that option. Actually, at the end of this episode, I would have covered a total of 972 total films in this show's history. So that's pretty amazing. This is the 39th show where I've done exclusively on horror, which is also amazing. So, some numbers for you. So let's get going on the show. Of course, the rating scale on the bottom, where the urine meets the sewage, meets the vomit. We got dumpster fire garbage. And then we got movies I can't quite recommend. And then okay if desperate. And then put on the watch list. Then put on top of the watch list. Let's go. 2020. Fingers. Rotten Tomatoes had nothing on this. They had 4 reviews. I think you got to have 10 before you have anything posted. And all the reviews were positive. And IMDb has it as a 5.4 out of 10. But this movie was not for me. I can see where it was going. It tried to be one of those so over the top and so silly and crazy that it gets an audience. Basically, these people are cutting off this guy's fingers, and they go to his house one day after another and cut one off at a time, and he's not really stopping them or making an effort to stop them. After one finger getting cut off, I would get a weapon and defend myself. But no, he just kind of lets it happen, which doesn't make sense. And these guys are selling the fingers to this other guy who's buying the fingers for what no reason, I don't know. Yeah, this one. Go ahead and skip it. I'd say can't quite recommend. Next, 2019 Greener Grass. Oh my god. Critic rating 81, no audience score. I looked at one of the reviews just to see what people are saying about this. The best one I could find was a hypnotic watch, yet hard to pin down. Yes, this is not a horror, yet several places have this listed as one of the best horrors you haven't seen. So I said, well, I gotta go see it, right? It is hard to pin down. It is so weird and bizarre, but there's really no gore. There's really no killing. It's just an alternate universe here where weird things are going on. It's the best way I could put it. I'm not giving away too much here, but one scene I can think of that I can explain to you that happens early, which kind of sets up the rest of the film, is this woman has this little baby, and she's talking to this other woman, and the other woman is like, hey, can I have your baby? And the woman's like, sure, here you go. It's all yours. And that's, yeah. It's something bizarre. But it is hypnotic. You cannot stop watching. The final third kind of lags a little, but still, you need to put this on your watch list and see this. This is something to behold. Greener Grass. 1981, The Pit. No critic rating, audience score of 37. This is one of those kind of forgotten 80s horror films that has found a new life on streaming. I really couldn't find it easily on DVD, but now that it's been widely distributed on streaming for everyone to see, it's got a whole new audience, and this is one of those. I enjoyed this. This was real different, but also entertaining. This little boy, who is off, talks to his teddy bear, and his teddy bear talks back to him. And they have a lot of people that they don't like because they treat this boy bad. And this boy is probably 13, 14. He's acting like he's 4. So the people that are mean to him, he lures them in the forest to this pit, and then he pushes them in. And that's the synopsis of The Pit. Amazing. Definitely also put this on your watch list. This is something that needs to be taken in. 1972, Asylum. Critic rating 67%, audience score 48. Yet another one of the many Peter Cushing movies I've covered on the show. Shudder keeps putting them out, so I keep watching them. So why not? They're all pretty good. None great, none bad, but they're all pretty watchable. This guy is coming to get a job at this asylum, and he's to talk to the head doctor, because I guess the head doctor is going away or retiring. I got all this phlegm in my nose. I don't know why. So bear with me. But so this is talking to the new doctor, and as he's being led down the hallway, this orderly is introducing him to all the patients that live there. He's going door by door by door by door, and each one has a little story. It's an anthology horror film, and each one has a little horror story that has a background which tells you what's going on with the patient. And none of the stories are bad. They're all pretty good. They're all pretty reliable. And then the finale is a little weak, but it's not horrible. But it's okay if desperate. It is what it is. Most people won't be gravitated to early 70s horror, because there's never blood. There's never direct violence. That's why they're all PG. So, but yeah, check it out. Okay if desperate, as I said. 2020, A Dark Path. There's nothing on Rotten Tomatoes about this, and IMDb has it as a 2.4 out of 10. It's one of those Lost in the Woods movies. These chicks are going somewhere. The car breaks down in the woods, and there's something in the woods. There's a great recent movie called Monster, about this woman and child. The car breaks down in the middle of nowhere, and there's a creature out there. This tries to be like that. The problem is this film has a budget of $3. And those $3, they went to the grocery store and bought the cheapest box of black trash bags, and they put it over a guy, and then they sprayed it down with a hose, and they said, that's our monster. That's what we got to work with. So, because of that, they should have gone with the extreme method of just showing nothing, a la Blair Witch, instead of showing this horrendous trash bag thing. But they didn't. They showed a lot of the trash bag. In the last half hour, that trash bag is getting a lot of screen time, and each time it gets worse. So I'd say dumpster fire garbage on A Dark Path had potential, but what do I know? 2020, A House Inbetween. Steve Consalves of Ghost Hunter / Ghost Nation, which is what the show is called now. He's a ghost hunter, and I've seen every one of his shows, all of them. Because I watch all of them. Ghost Adventures, Dead Files, Holzer Files, Kindred Spirits, etc., etc. I watch them all, and I've seen all this guy's shows, and he decided to break off and do his own little documentary about this specific house. So, I forgot to tell you, there's no critic score and an audience score of 20, which tells you something. I think people were thinking that since this is a whole big documentary about one thing, that people were expecting to see some stuff, like at least a shadow figure or something. And as usual, you don't get much. You got to be patient with these ghost hunting shows. There's a lot of times there's not a whole lot. But there was some stuff they found, but it's just not really enough to warrant a whole documentary, my opinion. But I still say it's just as good as one of the TV episodes. It's just a little bit longer, and that's fine. So for that, I would say it's okay if desperate. But unless you're into those shows, you probably won't like this. So next one, 2020, A Pale Door. Critic rating 51, audience score 65. I can see where this was trying to go. It tried to be a Quentin Tarantino, type gory Western films. It tried to be From A Dusk Till Dawn meets A Hateful Eight. And it failed. It failed Les Miserables. Had its moments. All these guys are going somewhere. They step up at this hooker stop. We get all the mistresses and whatever. And the mistresses are vampires. Yep, no good. Dumpster fire garbage. And finally, now time for our feature review. Rawhead Rex.
What I saw wasn't human.
Oh my God!
It was very tall. And what's more, it saw me. This thing.
1986, Rawhead Rex. A critic rating of 25% and audience score of 38. Written by the legendary Clive Barker. So, it's an Irish. Takes place in the Irish countryside. This Irish farmer is trying to dig out this big rock in his farm, and when he does so, he unleashes the demon of Rawhead Rex, who then starts going crazy and killing the town. This is a good old-fashioned raw creature feature. Plus, they spent some money on this creature, unlike A Dark Path. This giant German actor named Heidenreich von Schillendorf, who is 7 foot tall, played this Rawhead Rex, and he is scary. I wonder if he would do well against the Predator. But he's a badass, and he's on the loose. And this American guy and his American family are there doing research for the guy's novel or something, and they're kind of caught up in the middle of this. And he ends up being kind of the main character, the main protagonist, trying to kill off this giant thing, or at least send it back to hell. But yeah, fascinating. And also, it has some. It's probably the earliest film I could find where a child is blatantly murdered. So, points for that. Definitely put this on top of your watch list if any of that sounds interesting. For a nice, good old-fashioned 80s creature feature, check out Rawhead Rex. It's something else. So on the next episode, we will have Microwave Massacre. We're some obscure ones. Freaky, the new Vince Vaughn horror one, which I wanted to see last year, but I couldn't, but I finally did see it. An old one called Shock, one called Outcast, one called Cub. Cub, I believe, is a foreign film. So is one called Short Night of Glass Dolls. That is a French film. Then a newer American one called Lucky. And then what Shudder describes as one of the most controversial horror films of all time. Straight out of the 70s, a movie called The Devils. So we will see exactly how controversial. It looks like it's something to do with religion. So that could be good, it could be bad. We'll find out. So until the next glorious episode of 1200 Films, we'll see you then.